What are the cultural, economic, and political conditions that are required? Looking first at culture. World community will not be established through forced global cultural homogeneity. A just and beloved world requires both the acceptance and protection of cultural and religious pluralism, as long as the cultural and religious expressions are doing no harm and are not denying persons basic human rights. Freedom of religious and cultural expression does not equate to a right to treat persons of other religious and cultural orientations as being of lesser value or as having fewer rights than others within society. We must find ways to move beyond all forms of religious nationalism if we are to build a world community in which sustainable peace is possible. The premise that persons of certain religious orientations have more value or should hold more rights within a nation than persons of other religious orientations is the antithesis of beloved community. When we look at economics and politics, economically and politically, one of the most important steps towards just and peaceful world community is to focus on cultivating sustainable and self-sufficient local communities. That may seem counterintuitive at first to think about world community being connected to local communities, but strong and sustainable local economies within the context of bioregional self-sufficiency decrease our dependency on other parts of the world for food and for fuel, thus reducing the risk of conflict with other regions. Politically, it's important to not confuse world community with a world government. When you say world community, people often hear world government, and there's nothing like talking about world government to really get people riled up. You've probably seen and heard it. That's right. It's important not to confuse world community with a world government that dictates its will globally. Most political decisions are best left to the democratic participation of persons in local and regional communities. However, we do need to find ways to interact globally that are not dictated by a handful of global superpowers, so that we can move towards a reality in which all persons on the planet are treated justly and equitably. In many ways, we have a world government right now. It's just a combination of the global superpowers willing their way in the world through might and economic power. Living into true and sustainable world community requires a recognition that we are part of not only the human community, but that we're also part of a larger ecological community of all life. Our world community includes clean air, clean water. Hopefully, we can restore healthy oceans, habitat for wildlife, preserve biodiversity, and protect a livable climate. All these things are necessary for the world community of all life to flourish. So our world community is not just a community of humans, it's a community of all life. Finally, and this is especially relevant for us here in the United States, the cultivation of world community requires that all of humanity give up on militarism as a way of enforcing our will and expressing our economic hegemony in the world. Many of the global challenges we face could be solved by spending a relatively small fraction of the amount that we currently spend on the weapons and ways of war. If we were to take that money and spend it on projects and programs to eradicate poverty and ecological degradation. Additionally, our world community will never be truly safe until every nuclear weapon no longer exists. With the possible exception of a few nuclear weapons that might be needed to divert an asteroid that is on a collision path with our planet, at least until better methods of planetary defense can be developed.